Good afternoon and good morning to wherever you might be in the world. Welcome to another episode of Safari Live, coming to you live from Djuma in the Sabi Sands, Greater Kruger National Park, South Africa. We have got a beautiful impala ram who is trying to disappear into the thickets, and my name is Steve Falconbridge, and I'm joined by Senzo Mkhize, the three-fingered magician, on the camera, and we're out this afternoon on safari. And this is live, so please interact with us, send us your questions, hashtag Safari Live, or follow us on the YouTube stream. Let us know what you'd like to see. Let us know what we can do for you. This morning was relatively quiet. We didn't manage to find any leopards on the property, but that is the way it works. Who knows what could turn up at any stage. I think yesterday we had a ridiculous amount of leopards, and now today we have zero that we have found. That is, we are going to try our best. We have got Scotty D out on vehicle, as well as Taylor also on vehicle. There is a storm brewing in the horizon. We got the roofs on and we are prepared. I have got my my thunder protection on my hat just in case, from the Ziziphus mucronata, the branch from this morning. I just have to be careful not to injure my finger every time I touch my hat. So please feel free, as the impala disappear into the bushes there, we're going to go over to Scotty D, who's found himself some tracks.
Hello everyone. What you are looking at is a wild dog track. Isn't that exciting? It's not an animal we see very often. My name is Scott and I'm teamed up with Seb on camera today. We're having to negotiate for our rain roofs because when we headed out it was actually spitting, but now looking in the direction the rain comes from, it doesn't look too bad at all. So exciting stuff. I just saw one animal's tracks heading along the road in this direction over here. But then when I hopped onto this side of the road, I noticed there was lots more, and they were heading up and down. Hard to be certain which way in fact they ended up going, because they were moving up and down. But exciting prospects. Hopefully we will get lucky, and they actually often like snoozing in and around this area. They've been found quite a number of times sleeping under bushes in this general area, and it's usually an area where we see lots of impala. And I can't see any impala, which means maybe the wild dogs have chased them off. The only catch is that these animals move huge distances very quickly. So that, coupled with the fact that we are on the northeastern corner of our property, let me show you over here where we are. We're right over here, which, as you can see, doesn't leave us much room for work. If they go there and or there, they are gone. So we'll keep trying though, keep working this area. Maybe they'll poke their noses out for us. And while we continue on this exciting search for the wild dogs, we're going to send you across to Taylor McCurdy. I'm not too sure exactly what she has planned for the afternoon.
We've been Chitwa! Hello everybody. Yeah, so there might be a comedy show from our side, because we're going to have a sense of humour about the weather. Of course, my name is Taylor McCurdy. On camera, Taylor McCurdy, and this is a live and interactive safari, so we're hopefully going to find all sorts of wonderful things. But I can tell you right now that I know you'll all be excited, because we are heading to Chitwa. So that means we're going to look in Ghana for the whole afternoon, and we won't stop searching. So that's good news for all of us. Now, just checking to the right, to the left before we cross the main road. Before we go, we're going down Gari Main roads straight towards Chitwa. I'm thinking, because this wind is now picking rain, we'll try and check the dam. Maybe we'll try and check the dam first, if all the guests are out, to see if there are any elephants around. Right, I'm going to send you back across to Scott, though, who's hopefully going to find you some wild dogs.
Well, not just yet, Taylor McCurdy, but very happy that you had faith in me finding them within 30 seconds. Sorry, it sounded like both Steve and Taylor are going through some dodgy signals, so you're left with no option but then to jump on board with me. Now, I can't see any more tracks of the wild dogs. But that's no major surprise. Like I said, they move very quickly, erratically. They don't necessarily stick to the roads. They do their own thing. And we're just going to have to keep looping and swooping this general area and see if we can't get a kind of general direction of movement that they were heading in. I really do hope we get lucky and find them. It's been a while since I've raced after wild dogs. It's one of the most exhilarating animals you could wish to follow through the African bush. Rico, thank you for noticing that, yes, I appear to be on the mend. I had a bit of a cough yesterday and a blocked nose, but feeling much better this morning, and I'm sure by tomorrow I will be 102%, just like we are 102% live, the most live thing you could ever imagine to be a part of. Very good. No tracks. What I'm really hoping is that I do a big loop around this block, find no tracks, do a short walk, and then find them snoozing under a bush. And then just sit and wait patiently for them to wake up and take us hunting with them. Just want to get a hold of Texan. He's just got mobile, one of the guides, and see if he had any updates from the wild dogs this morning. Tex, we're at my Dutch farm this morning. There's some tracks on Sandy Patch where it's access. Sorry, go again? Here's some more tracks here. This doesn't look good. I was just wondering if the Madutch were located this morning. There's some tracks on Sandy Patch heading north towards Buffelshoek Dam. This isn't promising. Okay, copy. I'll keep following up here, but yeah, tracks are very close to Buffelshoek cut line on Sandy Patch, going north. So, doesn't sound like anyone found the wild dogs this morning, but I'm fairly confident these tracks are from last night, so early this morning. So maybe they'll be around, and even though they may have crossed the boundary, they could, as easily as they've crossed away, they could very easily come back. So that's what I'm hoping for. Paul, you would like to know what happens when two separate packs of wild dogs meet. I've never been lucky enough to actually see that happen, but there'll be a couple of variables. If it's 10 on 3, the 3 will run for their lives. If it's 10 on 10, there'll probably be an almighty fight. And sometimes they might just look at one another and decide that fighting is not the best option and run in the opposite direction. So I think those are the 3 variables. And yeah, it's impossible to say exactly what would happen. They aren't territorial, so if they do bump into another pack of wild dogs, there may be some kind of a fight, but they don't have, as far as I'm aware, hugely vested interest in like making any given area their own. But again, if one pack outnumbers the other, you'll probably find that there'll be some bullying that goes down. If they're equally matched, you'll probably find, well, they'll have a bit of a standoff and then just work things out verbally as opposed to physically. Alrighty then. Well, we'll have a kind of look around here and just stop and listen, see if we can hear anything, see any distressed impala. But I'm fairly confident these wild dog, considering how close their tracks were to our northern boundary where we are now, just behind us there, I'm not confident that we're going to find them, unless, of course, they have come back. Anyway, let's send you back to Taylor for an update while we try and work out what's going on here.
Well, we're here. We're on Chitwa now. It was quite quick. So, it's very windy and miserable down in the sort of southern corner of our traverse, which is not ideal. So, what we're going to keep doing is... I just don't know if we can go across the dam wall just yet. I think we might have to wait a little bit because the storm might not... well, sorry, what I'm trying to say is not all the guests may be out just yet, but I did see some warthogs down here, so we'll just stop around the corner and have a little squiz at them. Where are they? Hopefully they don't run away this time. Now, we have a request for the menu this afternoon. It's from Uneek, and that is, can we have a monkey Monday if we don't have any cats? Well, whether we'll be able to find a monkey, maybe. I suppose we're on Chitwa, and there's nice drainage lines with big trees, so there's a possibility. But let's not get too excited. We will try. We will check. Maybe I'll have to call them in. I'll do the monkey call and see if they listen. David, you know what I've just seen? To the top right of that warthog, there's a shrub, that one there, that's now on the far right-hand corner. There's a cuckoo that's just landed in it. Yes, if you keep going, you'll eventually see it. There we go, it's bouncing up and down, you've got it. Who we got? It's either a Jacobin or a Levalence. I haven't got a clue which one it is, but I'm going to open my book. Oh, I've got a phone. I can also use my mobile device. They look very similar. Those two species of cuckoos, and the call sounds almost exactly the same as well, and it's bouncing around there. That's the first cuckoo I've seen since I've been back. That was quite nice. So sorry, I got distracted. I think it is the Jacobin. The Jacobin cuckoo. Shall I show you? Yeah, you want to have a little look-see. I'm going to give the phone a bit of a clean, though. We'll open it. There it is. Nice drawings. Beautiful. Don't you think? So the reason how I knew that it was indeed the Jacobin is because the Levalence, let's have a look at another one, has got quite a bit of streaking on the breast. So this one doesn't have any streaking. And if I just go out and go into the Levalence, let's have a look. There we go. Look at all that streaking on the breast. That was something that I did not notice on that cuckoo, and it was turned around at one point. So very cool. Very nice to see. And now we've got some rain. That's lovely. I actually jinxed us. I said I don't think it's going to rain. Joke's on me. Huh? Warthogs don't seem to mind too much about the rain, though. I bet they're going to be excited because after a decent downpour, and I'm not talking about David, it is Downpour Dave. Hey, that was your nickname at one point. Once upon a time. Why was it? Because you predicted the rain day. Yeah. Yes, well done. We'll just remind you of your achievement there. Always patting one another on the back. But these warthogs will be excited because their mud wallows will fill up quite nicely, and then it will give them something to do during the heat of the day. Although the water levels seem to still be topped up quite nicely. Have you all been rolling in the mud today? It does look like they've got a bit of covering on them, yes. As we have a closer inspection, you can see that they've been sitting in the mud. It was quite warm. You can see also all the little raindrops now falling on the warthog, in case you doubted me and you thought that I was just telling big stories about the rain. Oh, you can even hear the rain because we've got our roof on. I can now feel the rain. It's lovely. It's quite refreshing, actually. And I say this as sincere as possible because it really has been so hot and humid and unpleasant. So it looks like the warthogs are just pulling the tops of the grasses out at the moment, and that's because they're full of seeds. So that's the most nutritious part of the plant to feast upon, is to get all those top bits. Quite funny to watch them, actually. Instead of down on their knees and crawling across the grass like they normally do, they can actually stand up and feed this time and just gobble away, eating all sorts of grasses at the moment. All the wealth areas in the background too. James's favorite plant. Now I hope it doesn't get any harder than this, otherwise we're going to have to put our rain covers down. Oh, the hippos are excited about the water too. That's quite nice. However, David, there's an impala to the right. that's not happy about the rain. Now, the biggest question we were asked while we were in the Mara, or actually just in general when going on safari, is what do the animals do when it starts to rain? Well, this impala has moved from the opposite side of that shrub and is now using it as shelter. So it doesn't need to necessarily be standing under cover, under a canopy, but all he's going to do is position himself in the opposite direction of where the wind is coming from. And then we'll stay quite nice and dry. That's what we do in emergency situations too. If we have a super downpour and we just aren't able to put covers down quick enough, you try and get to the nearest shrub and park on the opposite side to look for a bit of shelter. So this is a technique that all the animals will use. And then they also always seem to keep their tails tucked quite close to their bottoms. Very nice. Right, I think we're going to actually have to put some covers on. We'll see what the boss says behind the camera. And while we have a debate about rain covers or not, let's go see if Steve is also getting damp.
Not yet, thanks Taylor. There is definitely something brewing on the horizon, but we are prepared. We are prepared. But ladies and gentlemen, you will remember this bush. I'm sure you have seen it before. We talk about it quite a lot on bushwalks. And what is happening, which is very, very interesting, is that it is fruiting again. This is, yes, the white berry bush. And you can see, oopsie, if I can just get it to sit still in my hand. You see that sense? So you can see the fruits are coming out again. So because of the rainfall that we had, these plants are doing their thing again. But not ready to eat. No. Actually very bitter. So that is the objective with these trees, and I'm going to show you another one. I'm sure Herbie has shown you this one, or someone did. Scott did the other day. How's that? There's the magic guari, and the reddish ones are the edible ones. That was actually very off. That was really off. So the green ones, let's see if they're edible. They're not bad. They're a little bit bitter. But I'm taking off the skin. Excuse me. I'll throw those away. And have a look at how big. I've taken the entire skin off of that one. Or almost the entire skin. So look at how much seed there is. There is a normal one with the skin intact, and that is the fruit without the skin. So I was talking yesterday about fruit, and I was also talking this morning about fruit and how we have, as humans, manipulated plants to produce fruit with a lot more flesh and a lot less seeds. I mean, come on, who doesn't buy seedless grapes these days? Who doesn't buy, well, seedless oranges and nachis or nectarines and things, not nectarines, but that sort of stuff. It's becoming more and more and more popular. But what is the object of fruit? Fruit is there for distribution of genetics, of movement through the population. And indigenous plants don't have a lot of meat on there, mainly seed. But we find lots of birds, go-away birds, for example, absolutely love this. I'm sure barbets might also have a little bit of a feast, and some of the hornbills that we find lurking around. So when the rain comes, we get more fruits, we get more seeds. It is looking like it's going to be a good year, especially if the rain we're seeing today brings us a nice downpour. And we're not looking for just a thorough wetting. We're looking for a day or two of sort of medium, gentle rain that will just soak into the ground and fill up our dams. Manu, you should always, his comments, we should always feed me before we go out and drive. I am always snacking. And I think a lot of you out there enjoy my feedback on the taste of some of these plants. I haven't died yet, which is a good thing. I haven't had an upset stomach too, which is good. Only in moderation. You eat little bits and little bits at a time, and you shall be fine. But I am always snacking, which is good. It's nice to keep snacking. So we have moved into sort of the eastern side of Djuma, sort of where Scott was hanging out this morning, seeing if we can maybe find some freshness, fresh tracks of any animals that might be moving. The temperature's quite calm and quite cool, so you hopefully expect to see an animal move a little bit, because that's why they don't move, really. We talk about cats here. They don't normally move when it's hot because of the energy that it requires to move. But we're going to also head over towards our sort of eastern boundary, Ooh, that's marvelous. Ah, Justin wants to know which is the tree or bush that can be used as a toothbrush, and I will show you in a moment. Let me just have another look here. This is a tree that we've spoken about in length, the African weeping wattle, and what's marvelous about it is that it is actually flowering. Again, so when it comes to taking samples of trees for identification purposes, this branch over here would actually be ideal. Can you see that sense? We've got the fruit pod, we've got the leaf, not just one. Don't ever come to a botanist with a leaf and go, hey, I found a leaf. Some of my students actually would come to me with something like that and go, look what I found, what is it? It's impossible to say what that is, but with a leaf, the entire leaf structure, one leaf structure, there's how it's arranged as well, there's a flower, and there's a fruit. With this, the only thing that you need, two other aspects that are very important in identifying this tree is the shape, what did the bark look like, and where did you find it? And with those three other elements, you'll easily be able to identify most trees. I actually, as a practice for the students to show them how impossible it was, I would come from the bush with a branch like this and I'd put it down and say, go identify that. It would take them hours and hours and hours because they didn't have the information. So taught them to pay attention to all of those other things. Was there a milky latex when you ripped it off? That is an important one to look at. And this one, no, there's not. But that, by the time you get the sample home, that milky latex will be gone. So it's important to make notes in the field. What did the bark look like? What was the general shape? And where was it growing? And that will help you very much. Okay, let me find you a quick toothbrush tree. They are generally quite close by. Let me just have a quick look. There's a second one here, which does work. This is not the number one toothbrush tree in the world. Ooh. But most of the viewers out there do not want me to do this because it is a very old used trick out in the wilderness. So this is a hairy guarri, not a magic guarri. I was just eating some of the seeds off of the magic guarri just before, and by breaking the end off here and chewing that, I can make that into a very nice toothbrush. But seeing as we've got the hairy guarri in our hand at the moment, the seeds are there just like the magic guarri. Also the same. I'm going to, seeing as you have forced me to talk about this tree. Again, lots and lots of seed inside versus flesh. Lots and lots of seed versus flesh, just like the magic guarri. Okay, but what was known, and traditional healers used to actually take the roots and sometimes even the bark and chew it for a hypnotic sort of psychedelic effect. Senzo's smiling at that. He's going to ask me to take some of this home with him. Here we go, Senz. This is for you, for later. Okay, so we're going to continue on this road, and let's go over to Taylor, who's in Chitwa. I'm not sure if she's at the dam, but let's see what she has for you.
It's gone. Oh, there's another one. We did have guinea fowl, but they're all gone now, unfortunately. Bye, guinea fowl. That was nice of them. Always. Right, we'll carry on. I'm very nervous to go anywhere near the dam because I haven't got confirmation that all the guests are out just yet. Are you going to hang around, guinea fowl? Oh, no, yeah, please run into the bushes. That's exactly what we want you to do. Sorry about the roof, everybody. Now they're petrified of something. Please tell me you saw a leopard. It's pretty easy to ruffle the feathers of a guinea fowl, that's for sure. I mean, all they did was run away from us, run to a tree, gave themselves a big fright, and now they're fine again. Now they're carrying on like nothing even happened. I don't think there was a leopard in there. I think one got frightened. It's kind of like that sheep mentality. They all then overreacted and all started squawking. We can't go anywhere near Chitwa Lodge yet. We're actually going to have to turn around and go back the other way. I could hear guests laughing. Oh no, we're going to have to come back later. Let me practice my reversing. Okay, cool. So we're going to reverse. We're going to go the scenic way around. Maybe we'll start on the most sort of southeastern boundary. We'll do that. And then we'll end up at the dam. Hopefully we'll get a sunset, which will be quite nice. Let's go see if Scott has found any more of those wild dog tracks.
No, I haven't had any, excuse me, joy with the wild dog tracks just yet. There is a chance that they're not as fresh as I would have liked them to have been. They could have been from yesterday morning. But either way, the last tracks that I did see were heading north out of our property, so we'll leave them for the time being. And now I'm just kind of driving around an area where we could bump into the Shidulu female leopard. She's a female that we haven't seen very much of. She's quite new to our area, and kind of lingers along our western boundary. Also kind of Thamba also kind of hangs around this northwestern corner of Djuma. And after he finished his kudu kill at some point in the day yesterday, he may have come back into this area where he usually hangs out. It'll be interesting to see how he's faring after having such a full belly yesterday. I'm sure he's just relaxing and taking it easy. It would also be nice to know where young Hosanna ended up. So we've got some options regarding the leopards. None of them are perfect regarding the freshness of any tracks that we could follow, but I've got a feeling that they're around. Paul, you'd like to know when last we saw Tingana, or have we seen him lately? Sure, when was the last time we saw him? I'd say, was it when? Just before Hukumuri stole his kill, which was early on in the month, maybe 10 days ago. He was seen shortly after that on Chitwa, where Taylor is, so maybe Taylor will get some intelligence from those guys. He tends to have been hanging out more across there than he did on Djuma now that this new male has come onto the scene. The new male is called the Hukumuri male, and there was reports of him having made a kill somewhere just south of our southern boundary at some stage last night. So depending on what the kill is, I'm not too sure. He may be gone for a few days while he's busy feeding on that. But yeah, Paul, sadly I think, unless there's a small miracle and Tingana has a serious turn for the better with regards to his health, because he's not looking really impressive at the moment, so I think we're just going to be seeing less and less of him and more of the Hukumuri male. Those are my thoughts on old Tingana. Sad that his time appears to be coming to an end, but it's natural, I guess, and we're very fortunate to be around whilst this interesting change in dynamics is occurring, because it doesn't happen very often. And let's just hope we can get lucky and actually document some of the interactions between the dominant males of this area as they go about their business. Just dangling my head over trying to see if there's any tracks here, but no joy just yet. Mrs. Lapwing, you suggesting that we need the leopards to check in with us before they go about their business. Well, wouldn't that be wonderful? It would be absolutely marvelous if they kept us up to date with what they were planning on doing and when. But I don't think it's ever going to get to that stage, sadly. Very good. Well, we're going to keep driving about. Hopefully the next time you come to us, something exciting will be happening here. But for now, we're going to send you back across to Steve.
Thanks, Scotty. I hope you come right with those wild dogs. There's nothing too exciting has happened on this side, apart from there being wonderful trees and grasses all over the place. Looking for potentially any movement of Tundi coming back in from the east, which would be marvelous. We know she loves tall marula trees. Oh, who cares? You asked about the sausage tree. I'm far away from that place now. It is by Pump House, so I don't know if I'm going to get back to that side when it's still light, if I mission around here. But if I do, I will pull over and find that sausage tree for you. It's not a very exciting tree at the moment because it's not flowering, it's not fruiting. It has got an amazing, beautiful big flower, and whenever it is flowering, you can see birds and insects in their multitudes frequenting the tree, pollinating the beautiful red flower, and the fruits can get up to almost about 22 pounds, the fruit, and it is a solid mass of vegetable matter. So I do remember being asked for that, and I apologize I have not gone back to the sausage tree, but I only know of the one in Djuma. Only know of the one, sadly. Other places I've worked, there are a lot more sort of prominent. They tend to grow quite large along sort of permanent river courses. We don't have a permanent river here, so that's possibly why we don't have one. And the one that we do have that's growing, it is in the sort of dry river depression, where there's a pump where water comes from. So it's obviously got access to the water there and is doing quite well. Okay, marvelous. We've got some Samaras here. I wanted to compare the two Samaras that I have. One for the russet and one for the red bush willow. Just plugging myself in. I know I did a little party trick with this yesterday, but you can, you can clearly see the difference in the red. No, I'm only joking. This is the red in my right hand, and then the russet in my left. Very easy to see, and a marvelous table decoration. And what's important, ladies and gentlemen, back home, is if you are going to make tea with these plants, you need to remember that this one you can make tea with. Remember, I showed you the trick yesterday. If I pop open, show you the surprise inside, throw away the seed, and then you can make a lovely tea out of this little pod. But this one, you can do the same when it is ripe. Oh, it's working. You pop out the seed, but you do not want to eat this. This is poisonous. You can actually kill yourself if you make tea out of this one. Russet, red. Russet, red. But the red, some leaves just on this side. Actually, while we're here, let's show you the difference in the leaves, because the leaves are actually quite similar, but yet very different. Similar to the untrained eye. Here, let me just grab a branch off there, and I'll come put it on the dashboard. Okay, there is the red bush willow. And what is very noticeable in the two species is how large the leaves are, first of all. This is the russet on the left, and if you look closely at the leaves, I'm just going to hold that there for sense. If you look closely, there's a sort of reddish tinge to the leaves, and if you look closely in light, there's actually some hairs underneath here that you can clearly see in the light. But the leaves are quite small. Some people would say they're Mickey Mouse ears, and it's a rounded tip. Okay, now the red bush willow, first of all, this is a small leaf off of this selection here. First of all, it is green and smooth on both sides with no hairs whatsoever. And you see that? No hairs anywhere. I can actually put the two together and maybe you can see the slight difference. Slight reddishness on the left of the screen, especially down that mid vein there. Now, what is awesome about this red bush willow is it turns, the tip of the leaf, the apex, turns and twists up. The species name is called apiculatum, and this tip is actually called an apex, and the apex twists in all of the red bush willows. Sorry, they twist, and you can clearly see that in this bigger example here. You see how it twists over there, right up at the top. Okay, it's the only bush willow to do that, and very easy to identify because of that. Obviously, we don't have seed pods all year round. Okay, so now here comes the crux of the matter. These leaves, which I can grab off and I can crush, have got a nice sort of what's the word? almost like a sweetish sort of smell to them. And these you can throw, you need to dry them a little bit. These you can throw into boiling water to make a marvelous tea. So don't confuse the russet bush willow and the red bush willow pods. And these ones you can use for a tea. I hope that helps. Are there any plants can be used for stomach cramps? Most certainly. Most certainly. The russet bush willow, not the russet bush willow, the magic guarri, which we spoke about before, I think Senzo's actually got a branch. Did you throw it away? The magic. You threw it, eh? Yeah. The magic guarri, which we talked about before, with the hairy guarri, both of them can be suitable for abdominal pain, which will help with stomach cramps. And essentially you use a bit of the bark and you make a decoction, so sort of you warm it in hot water and you take out the vegetable material and then you can drink that. It will actually cure anything in the tummy, but you've got to be careful on the dosage there. The thing with medicinal plants that you have to be aware of is that the dose could kill you if you're not aware of it. Like when you go to the doctor, he says, here's your prescription medicine, take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon and 2 after dinner. If you take 6 and 12 and 24, you could probably die. So it's important to understand the dosage, and a lot of this information is not available. So I'm going to be doing some testing over the next few months, and hopefully I don't die. I have signed the disclaimer forms, but I hope that helps with your afternoon tea, ladies and gentlemen. Don't confuse the 2 trees. Both of them can make tea, but one will kill you. So important information right there. So it's wonderful wind. This is the kind of conditions and wind that I would expect. I mean, if you're sitting with a cat, a lion or a leopard, and it's quite still, and suddenly this wind picks up, you often find them stand up and start moving. Because not only is it cooler, the noise that the wind does in the environment here is it rustles all the leaves, it makes everything move, and it makes the approach of a predator so much more sort of invisible to from an auditory perspective to your prey animals. Even the kudu with those amazing big ears find it very difficult. Okay, so there's an update on the radio. I need to just change quickly. So yes, when the wind is like this, it's very likely that you could find animals moving. And we're going to go over to we're going to go over to Taylor down and see how wet she's getting.
We've dried off now. I'm sorry, I was surprised by that. You won't believe what happened. So we still are having a little bit of vehicle problem. We're not quite sure what's wrong with Jigger, but we'll get to that in a moment. We're driving, and the next minute we've just put the tire back on the car. David showed us how strong he was. He put the tire up here all by himself. I almost had an octopus clip, it's not called an octopus clip, everybody's teasing me, a bungee cord, but my dad calls them octopus clips, probably because he's from Australia, so I call them that my whole life. There's another weird word that I always get teased about saying, and almost flung that into my eye. And as I literally sat in the car, Harley comes racing past and literally just dust and goes, come. So I'm like, okay, we're on our way. I didn't know where I was going. So it seems as though there's a leopard crossing, I think it's going north, to sort of Weaver's Nest, Gowrie, Main. So I know Kirsten has told Scott, and hopefully Scott will race there. Ooh, there's a show at the dam though. Never mind. Who needs a leopard when we've got hippos? And we'll have a look at them. Everyone's out of camp now, so we can come back. Please, Jigger, don't break on us. And also, can we not get stranded at Chitwa Dam? Because I feel like that's happened to me one too many times. Where's Snappy? Snappy the crocodile? Not here today. Okay, well, we'll just park like this for now. Hello. Which hippos would you like to look at, David? Those ones. Cool, we can look at those ones. Now, question from Justin. Thank you for worrying about me. You're wondering how my leg is. My leg is fine. It's still pins and needly, if that's a way to describe it. Actually, Steph messaged me today and he asked me how my sting was. And I said, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I'll survive. And he said, okay, good, because it's going to last for a week. That's exciting. But I'll be fine. I'm trying to keep it or sort of off of any surfaces, so I'm not really putting my leg down. I'm holding it up slightly, and I rested on the handbrake when we're in a static sighting, if you're wanting to know how I'm managing to do that. Very windy though. You can see it's like the ocean today. at Chitwa. Yay! Some lovely hippo sounds, which is always quite fitting. I think it's going to be quite exciting at this dam. If not now, but definitely a little bit later. And there are a couple of gaps in the clouds, so maybe we'll get a classic Chitwa sunset, which will be ideal. Oh, David, there, that one looks like it's going to open its mouth on the right. Those ones. See how it's mouthing the water? Often they do that, and then they thrash around and throw their heads up in the air. No, of course, because I said that it's not going to do anything now. And then the other pod will do all the exciting things. It actually looks like it's got some fresh wounds on it. Look at that. Are those scratches? Where's my binoculars? Have you got... Might some grasses. Oh, there we go. At least it opens its mouth. I don't know what that white stuff is. If it is a scratch, have you been boxing? Come back up again, please, hippo. Maybe it's not a serious scratch. Maybe it's kind of like a graze. Have any of you ever taken a stick, or if you've walked past a stick and it slightly scratched you, not quite opening up your skin and making you bleed? It looks a little bit like that. Or maybe it's just pieces of grass or something on it. But you'd think if it would be in the water, though, it would wash off. I don't know. Interesting, though. Either way, going back under the water again. Also looking for some cool water birds. Now, looking at the dam, it's actually filled up quite nicely. And Christy, you were wondering, how deep do I think it is over here? I think it varies quite a bit. I think there's a lot of little islands that we just can't see. Often, wherever the hippos are, it's fairly shallow, and they are able to stand. So I'm going to say it varies between 0.5 meter and maybe 2 meters deep. I don't think anything more than that, really. I don't think it's a particularly deep dam, but I also haven't been out in the middle. And I don't think I'll ever go swimming in Chitwa Dam. You know who we will ask, though? We might have to ask Sheldon and Dylan and see, maybe there's some old guide stories from back in the day when everyone was a little bit on the naughty side, and perhaps somebody has gone swimming in the dam and has tested how deep the water is, but we'll get back to you on that one. Perhaps the next time that we pop past Chitwa Dam. I'll see if I can get hold of either one of them. But it doesn't look too deep there. I mean, they're able to stay above the surface. I think that they can stand in that spot. Some waterbuck at the back as well, just having a good graze. There's quite a few different animals down today. Some bushbuck. We've got all the bird species. No, we might hang around here and see what else develops at the dam. I'm going to send you to Steve, who has got a bird that I think will be struggling to fly in this wind.
These birds are the best flyers in the world, I think. They might not be the best in the world, but they seem to be able to fly without any effort. And normally when there is not a single breath of wind in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, we have found ourselves a male batelier. And how do we tell that from what we just see? And it's quite easy to remember. The male essentially wears a waistcoat which covers the shoulders, whereas the female wears a bikini and a miniskirt. So where there's the white on the shoulder, the female will also have white lower down on the wing. So that is a nice way of remembering it. And if that doesn't answer your question too well, I can quickly show you on the dashboard. I've got a picture of a female here. But quite easy to identify when they're sitting like that. Here we have her and her sort of, what would you say, bikini top and miniskirt. There we go. You can see the second white patch. Oops, sorry about that. At the bottom. Okay, easy to remember. So they are quite a reliable sort of source of finding a carcass of sorts. And if there was an animal that's killed something here, a lion or a leopard, generally the Batelier eagle is the first one to find that kill. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes in here, maybe take a little walk in there and see if we can see any cat. This is the area where Thandi has been seen. I know Scott was telling me on the radar that there's some tracks further south. I am heading there, but I just couldn't resist the opportunity to maybe follow up and see what this battalier is maybe looking at. Sitting up there in a very tall knobthorn tree, looking down on the ground, which gives me an idea that something's there. But let's go over to Scott for an update, and I'll let you know what happens here.
Not much going on here, still just cruising about, checking a few roads that I don't really check that often, and I always wonder to myself about that, and is there a reason why I always kind of check certain roads, because it's through past experience of animals using kind of preferred highways, or is it just kind of bad habits that I've slipped into that causes me not to check other roads that could equally hold some interesting sightings, scenes and or tracks of the animals we're looking for? So this is one of the least driven roads, I think, on Djuma. It's called Ephraim's Road. Most of you probably wouldn't have heard that, even the more experienced, longer standing Safari Live goers. But it is an area where I feel we could get lucky rustling up young Thamba, the male leopard. Ali, you would like to know who was the dominant male leopard before Tingana. His name was Mvula, and he was still alive in December last year. So even though he was ousted from this territory about 3 years ago, he was still doing his thing, obviously just kind of flying below the radar, not getting in the way of anyone, just doing his own thing, not getting many girlfriends along the way, but still just carrying on, maybe getting lucky here and there. Small territory, but sadly he was spending a lot of time in an area where we do not traverse, so it makes it difficult for us to keep tabs on what they're doing when they're not with us. So yeah, and just about 3 years later, it appears that his successor, Tingana, is getting the same treatment from another young and upcoming male. Mvula was great quality. Spent a lot of time with him in the kind of first 6 months that I was here. And it'll be wonderful to see him after all these years of me not seeing him, and a lot of you as well. I'm sure a lot of you have been keeping touch on his movements via his Facebook page, and as bizarre as it is that some of the wild animals that live here have got Facebook pages, I think it's hugely useful, because it allows multiple people to keep track of the same animal, even if they all traverse different areas. Neil, you'd like to know if leopards are creatures of habits, and yes, they certainly are, but to varying degrees, some more than others. But yeah, they do kind of, walk along similar pathways and routes. And once you get to know those pathways and routes that they like to take, not necessarily all the time, but a lot of the time, it definitely does make, tracking them and finding them a lot easier. If we take the Hukumuri male, for example, in the short time that we've been seeing him, basically since mid-December, we've already picked up a few of his traits and which, pathways he likes to come in and out on. We know for a fact that there's a very specific termite mound where he successfully plucked a warthog, and about 2-3 weeks later we followed him back to that very same mound. So yeah, there's an example of how they kind of get to know their backyard just like we do, and we get to know our area that we live in, and we may use one shopping center more than others, but when you're in a rush and you're on your way to your friend's house, you may stop in at an abnormal one. And the same thing goes for the leopard, depending on their predicaments and their situation, they may be not forced to, but inclined to do something slightly different to the norm. Marvelous. Well, sure something's going to pop up at some stage, but so far it's been quite chilled here on Rusty, which is the vehicle I'm driving around. Hopefully Taylor on Jigger is having a bit more luck than we are.
No, but Steve... Wait, we were with Steve, hey David? Yeah. I don't know. Stephen, isn't there a leopard that you're supposed to be going to? So you'll be definitely... Oh, you're with Scott, that's why. I think Stephen's on his way to the leopard. We don't know who it is. I wonder if it's Hokumuri, because it's kind of in the area where we lost him yesterday, or when he crossed into Little Gauri. Just check the roads again in case anyone racing there. We are not having so much luck. Sadly, we had to leave Chitwa Dam as there were some late arrival guests that aren't going out on safari. So the dam is now off limits. I'm very sorry about that. But at least we got to have a quick look at some hippo, and they opened our mouth for us. So I feel like that was a bonus, and we got to hear them. So we can just do a sunset shot somewhere else. It doesn't have to be at the dam. It'll be somewhere around. So now this area over here to the right is basically the area where Kuchava was last seen. So we're going to check here extensively to see if we can find Kuchava and her baby. Mrs. Lapwing, you've asked about the zebra and where have they all gone? I suppose to greener pastures. I think that they've gone into the Manuleti and possibly into Kruger around Orpen Gate. With obviously some massive rains. No, I want to go all the way to the end. And I think they're just there grazing at the moment. The grazing is really not great up in the northern Sabi Sand, not like it is in the surrounding areas. So in the southern Sabi Sand, there's some really good areas for grazing. And then again, just north of the Manuleti, Orpen, and then north of that into Satara, which is in the Kruger, is really fantastic. So I think they're in those spots. They come through here every now and then, but they don't stay for very long. And it's just very thick up here. I mean, it's probably the reason as to why we don't see a lot of buffalo coming through on a regular basis. Yes, we see the odd herd every now and then, but we should be seeing resident populations of buffalo up here. There's just not enough food for them, I don't think. So they're constantly on the go. Because when you're down in the southern Sabi Sand, I mean, when I was working at Sabi, there would be 3 or 4 herds of buffalo, you know, anywhere between 200 and 1,000. But there are lots of open areas, lots of opportunity for them to graze. Yes, there's the rivers down that way too, which definitely help. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. It's purely just there not being a lot of food. Now you're probably going, but Taylor, there's grass on either side of you. What are you talking about? Some of this grass is not necessarily delicious, and they might be saving this for when they're desperate and there's just absolutely nothing else to eat. Remember, the animals are going to try and eat the best quality food first and eat as much of it as possible, so that they can, of course, carry on. Right, sorry, I'm just telling them that we're live and I can't stop for a little chit-chat, you know, even though I love a good chit-chat, sometimes you've got to give it a skip. So yeah, so I think that's the reason why. Because when we see the zebra through here, it's normally in the drier months in winter, and then they're not even eating grass because there's not much grass left. They have to feed on round leaf teak. They have to eat all sorts of other things, which is not ideal for them, but they manage. So now as we're driving, I'm checking very carefully. I think Kuchava's quite a clever girl. She doesn't want to be seen with her cub, so she's hiding it in the deepest, darkest, thickest of thick bush, which is here in this sort of eastern corner of Chitwa. So we will do all the roads that sort of meander and serpentine between sort of the airstrip and the Cheetah Plains driveway. We'll have a look. Paul, you're wondering what is the latest with regards to the waterbuck horns that I've brought back to camp? Well, they're in camp now. I've had to move them 3 times because of the smell. To me and says, I don't know what to leave them. I don't want to leave them out in the open because I can promise you right now, someone is going to take them and then I'm going to be very upset because we found them. Well, I'm sure everyone else just drove past them, and I think they're going to be a great asset for the tent. So they're drying out at the moment. I'm hoping that the carrion beetles and all the flies are going to get rid of the excess sort of flesh, but it might take a couple of weeks. So also it's sitting out in a sunny area. So we'll leave them for a few weeks, and then we will, once appropriate and the stench has left us, then we'll put them back in the tent. But we're going to keep going. I can start to see the cheetah playing signs now, so we're almost at our destination. Scott doesn't seem to be having luck with those wild dogs, but who knows, maybe they're on the move through the thicket. Let's go see where he is.
Given up on the wild dogs long ago, Taylor. So not expecting to bump into them. It would be awfully pleasant though if they did just appear out of nowhere, but it would become as a great surprise because their tracks are not really on our property. They headed north out of our property, the last tracks I saw. Quite a windy, moody afternoon, great weather for hunting. For the cats, we just need to find some, and hopefully we'll be able to see them hunting. Kamora, you'd like to see what the story is with seeing aardvarks after dark here. I've seen one, I think in all my time in the Sabi Sands, or at least as far as my little memory can take me. And it was here on Djuma. We were doing a staff drive off Balanites Road. We had a brief sighting of one. They are here, but we're just not out much after dark, so the likelihood of seeing them is obviously greatly diminished by the fact that we don't go out when they go out. I'm not sure, you know, in the year that I was gone from here, if the guys had any luck. I know Brent had a couple of sightings up in Kenya. So yeah, they're around. Often see their tracks. But yeah, I don't see them very much. Sadly, it'll be a wonderful animal to follow going about doing their business, looking for termites to snack on. Who knows, maybe tonight we'll get lucky. Not too sure where to go from here. I'm kind of not running out of options. There's plenty of options, but options that excite me are becoming limited. Linda, you say aardvarks after dark sounds like some kind of a TV show. Maybe we're skipping a beat. Maybe we should change up what we're doing and just go for aardvarks. Specialize in aardvarks. Alrighty. Oops, sorry, Seb. So I'm going to continue patrolling the western half after any sign of anything. Chris, you say aardvark after dark would be quite a nice name for a band. I agree. Things are getting desperate when we're on topics of discussion like we are now, but I guess that's what happens when you're on safari. Sometimes it's quiet and you just end up talking nonsense. I had a friend at university who had a band called Dubious Avo, quite like that. He wasn't a very dubious character, that was the only catch though. He was quite down the line. Maybe other band members were a bit dubious and he was the Avo, the constant. Now I was wondering and chatting with Seb, I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of or seen of any sightings of Shadow and her daughter, not Barbara, being seen. I haven't heard their names being called in for a long, long time. And the last time I actually saw Shadow was up this very tree. Right in that fork over there. Was it there? No, I think it was actually that fork over there. With the Cuckoo and her sister Tundi who sadly crossed out of our property this morning, was spying on her from underneath this weeping wattle bush over here. Just poking her head out of that little bush over there. It was an awesome scene. Sadly, we missed the altercation that went down. It went down between drives in the heat of the day, when something, obviously Shadow may have given in to Thandi, or somebody gave in to somebody, because when we got back in the afternoon, there was no sign of either of them here, yet there was a decent portion of that kill remaining when we left in the morning. So it was an interesting kind of duel between the two sisters, who were kind of seen a couple of times quite close to one another, and it was when kind of Thandi was moving into this area just as kind of after her mother, both of their mother disappeared. And they both kind of fell into the hole here trying to acquire her turf, and it seems like Thandi came out on top. But I must say, I am a little bit concerned that we've seen no further sign of Shadow and her youngster. It could be because of the Shidulu female, this young new female that's coming onto the scene, that hangs around kind of Shadow's old turf, or it could be due to the fact that the Hukumuri males come in and disrupted things. I'm hoping he hasn't got a hold of them and caused them any damage or death, but that is a reality. Could have happened. So yeah, if any of you have heard of or seen Shadow and her youngster being seen on the neighbouring properties, please do let us know. It would be wonderful to know that they are still safe and sound, but just hanging out in a different area. I'm hoping Steve gets lucky. He is heading off to reports of a leopard somewhere on our southern boundary, so let's hope he gets lucky there. Again, I wonder who that could be. Maybe it'll be Shadow. Wouldn't that be a pleasant surprise? The fact that Hukumuri had a kill, unless it was tiny, makes me inclined to think that it's not going to be him. And he's also just kind of come from our property, so I would have thought he would have kind of headed further west to check the western portion of his territory, which is outside of Djuma. Yeah, it could be Hosanna, the young male that Taylor was searching for this morning with Herbie. They didn't have much luck though. Yeah, it's incredible how many sightings you actually have out here. I remember James came out on a solo bushwalk kind of slash tracking team one afternoon, and he found Shadow lying on this termite mound just to our left. That was a good afternoon, and James did a great job in assisting us. She's not there this afternoon though. Let's send you across to Steve for an update on how his movements are getting along and how close he is to where that leopard could be.
Thank you very much, Scotty. We have come to the area where they last saw the leopard, and there's some tracks of it meandering. He came into our property and he's gone again south into Little Gowrie. So he rushed all the way here, and he is gone. But such is the way of the leopards in the Sabi sands. But as I expected, with this wind blowing, it's time, and it's sort of an activity sort of booster for these cats to start moving in preparation for a hunt. It has died down a bit from what it was before, but who knows, we might be lucky to find any of the other leopards that have just escaped our grasp from this game drive safari. But it was definitely a male. Could have been Humuri, because he came south from that we're about to get to shortly. He was south of that from yesterday, last night, but apparently he'd made a kill. So who knows? I would attempt to assume I know which leopard is which by their track, unless we do some form of branding on the bottom of the foot to say H for Hosanna or something like that, which I'm not suggesting we do, ladies and gentlemen. It's very hard Those Scott and Herbie are telling us that Hukumuri's got these longer toes. So who knows? So this is the road that he came out last night. So it makes a whole lot of sense that it was him that went back around in again. And he's probably on his way to go and have a drink. Although why he didn't come and just drink at this little pan is beyond my understanding. It's possible that he is at a small bit of meat and now he's looking for something else. Ashford, are there often leopard takeovers like this one? And takeovers of leopards happen probably, 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years. A male leopard will look after a territory before being pushed out. It's just kind of the way he starts losing physical fitness. His pushed into the population, and then another stronger and fitter outcompetes him. It's the way it works in a natural system. And Tingana's been here as a resident male for 3 years, even though he's 12. Who knows where he was before? I don't know this information, but this kind of stuff is very well documented for leopards and how long they hold the territories, but it also is a long-term thing. And in the Sabi Sands, they've been doing leopard research for over 35 years, so they've got a very good understanding of what happens here. But then in the same breath, you can't take that information and extrapolate it to another place because things are different. So it is always a study of a study. But the Sabi Sands generally does have some very good information purely because of the number of times we see these cats and how we're able to follow them and identify them. It is quite difficult to develop identification kits for these cats if you're not seeing them. You need to be able to see them. Like I say, you can track them, but how do you know which male it is unless you've got some form of GPS collar on the neck and see the movements? And there's a lot of work being going on with Cape Leopard Trust down in the Cape. A friend of mine was doing work for Endangered Wildlife Trust and African Wildlife Foundation on movements of leopards. So there's a lot of work out there, and it extrapolates and it makes all sorts of assumptions and tests some theories, but then we still have to look at the long-term sort of data which the Sabi Sands is pushing forward. So I hope that long discussion of mine answered your very brief question. I might go head back down to, let you give you an idea maybe of where we are. Sinak, it is not the dry season, this is the wet season, and this is when most of the animals are around. But the problem is because it's so thick, the vegetation's dense, you can't see them, and also they spread out all over the place because of abundance of water and food. And as soon as it starts drying, the vegetation diminishes, the animals start congregating into larger groups close to water, they're much easier to find. So let's go have a look at where we are. We have come in on this road, and this is where the leopard tracks were, coming down our southern boundary over here. And then they went back down into Little Gowrie, which is below us here. So we've come along the fire break, which is just the management track next to the main road. We've come in and we headed this way towards Treehouse Dam. We go have a look at Twin Dams, see if these leopards are up and about and moving near the water, because that could be an idea. But then again, it is only a guess. We never know. We could be lucky, but when the temperatures are like this, it's a very good chance of finding cats moving. So it's a good opportunity to spend more time moving around. Ravi wants to know if there's ever been a drive where there's been no sightings of animals. Kirst, you can maybe answer that for me, but I think the other day I got a steenbok. That was my drive. It was marvelous. But, that's the reality out here, Ravi, is that this is the African wilderness. This is live. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. I think a lot of the viewers back home are very spoilt by the leopard encounters that we have here, because it is unbelievable what we're able to produce on this reserve. The things that we've seen just blow my mind away. And I've trained guides, and when I did my level 1, I went to a reserve that had no animals that you would ever see. You only saw their tracks. So that taught me how to interpret small things, look at trees, look at plants, because that is essentially the environment that we are in. I know there are guides I've worked with in the past that as soon as the animals disappear, they start to get a little bit twitchy and they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to talk about. But that is not my problem, other people's problems. But yes, it does happen that it's quiet. It's very quiet, but we did bypass a breeding herd of elephants in our rush to get down here to find this beautiful leopard, whichever one he could have been. So we might slowly head back in that direction so we can guarantee to get a large animal on camera this afternoon. So while we do that, we're going to check the water, as I said. Let's go to Scott for an update.
Well, sorry, Steve. Unfortunate there that that leopard had disappeared. I wonder who it was. I'm hoping Taylor, who's on that radio frequency, she's on a slightly different radio frequency to what we're operating on now, because she's on Chitwa. All the different areas have got their own kind of radio frequency, thankfully, otherwise it would be absolute chaos on the radios. So hopefully if she gets any updates as to who it is, that would be useful for us to know. And maybe the guys are still trying to work out who it is, and she'll keep us posted, thankfully, as soon as she gets any updates there. It'll also be useful for us to know, you know, if it is Hosanna, then we kind of write him off for the afternoon, and then it can help plan our attack, possibly, for where we should drive around. I didn't get your name quite clearly, but you'll know who you are. You'd like to know how often do leopard takeovers fail? Campus. Tampus. My confused face. Hampus, with an H. Oh. Okay. Hello, Hampus. There we go. Sorry it took so long. I'm basically deaf, as you can tell. Sheesh, that's a very tricky question to answer. I'm trying to think where I should begin. The fact that in all my years, Hampus, I've never once, I've once seen two big male leopards side by side sleeping. Sadly they weren't interacting when I got there. That was Tingana and another male called the Anderson male across on Arathusa, probably to our west when we used to traverse there. But I mean, in all my years of guiding, a lot of which have been in the Sabi Sands, which is a wonderful place to view leopards, I've seen very, very few interactions, just that one between males. And I think it's difficult. Yeah, it's such a tricky question to answer. That's why I'm giving you nothing, because I'm trying to make some sense of this. I don't want to just splurt something out. I don't know. I don't know how often they fail. You'd probably have to take an individual male leopard and follow him as he starts coming of age, and then see, like, you know, who chases him and where he moves to. And you probably find that a young male may fail on a number of occasions. They may come in and, like, you know, have a debate with an established male and then realize, oh, she's someone I'm not willing to take on this guy, until they've moved further enough and got big enough and strong enough and worldly enough to eventually, and lucky enough to eventually get their own turf. I just heard another report today from Michael Fleetwood, who's been doing an incredible job researching the Hukumuri male, and a big thanks for your research on that, Michael, if you're watching. Apparently the Hukumuri male came from about roughly 100 kilometers away, about 60 miles away. He was seen there 2 years ago, and a year ago he was seen about, I'd say, 30 to 40 kilometers to the north of us. So from Crocodile Bridge, where he was seen in 2015, to the Timbavati, where he was seen in 2016, to down here, let me try and draw it on my map for you. I mean, it's some major distances, and that indicates that he would have been failing a lot of the time, or just, you know, not having full-blown attempts. This is the Kruger National Park. MOS. That stands for Mozambique. All the way along the eastern boundary of the Kruger is Mozambique. And Crocodile Bridge Gate's probably somewhere about here, we somewhere about here, and Timbavati somewhere about here. And I've tried to draw that to scale. So I'd guess that's probably, roughly 70 miles. This is probably 60 miles. And then from the Timbavati back to us is probably about 20 miles roughly. So he's moved a huge distance in the last 2 years, and how many times he would have failed and the other males would have been successful, I'm not sure anyone knows. And again, we spend a lot of time out here every single day trying to follow these leopards as closely as we can, and even though we do that, there are still massive chunks of information missing. When Tingana came in and asked Mvula, we had no idea of how that went down. We didn't see one interaction, not even anything, when that whole takeover took place. So to be able to answer a question like that therefore becomes difficult. Wonderful. We're going to continue on. I'm hoping Shidulu, a female leopard we haven't seen very often, pokes her head up around one of these corners. This is a new road where she has been seen doing her business. And while we do that, we are going to send you back to Taylor. Maybe she's got an update on who that male is.
I'm not actually sure. I'm still waiting for a response from either Dylan or Sheldon of Chitwa to find out exactly who they had, because they were actually on their way into that sighting. Maybe we bump into them a bit later. But we do not have a leopard in the tree. We have got a Wahlberg's eagle. And funny enough, on Bushwalk, we were looking at the pale morph, some of you may remember, sitting up in its tree above its nest. This is not the pale morph. This is the brown one. The brown Wahlberg's eagle, the traditional color. And very easy to identify because it has got that little crown on the back of its head. It sort of stands up. The wind is sort of exaggerating it a bit this afternoon. And Conrad, you are wondering what's happened to its feathers. I think it's just the wind, to be honest. I reckon the wind is pushing up from behind it and just separating its feathers a little bit. They do look slightly on the untidy side. Perhaps this one needs to visit the hairdresser and get all those little hooks realigned again. Conrad, who I assume we're talking about one of our engineers, our technical geniuses, his classic South African response was yo. Now, you spell yo, Y-O-H, and you can use that word for a number of different things. When you're excited, yo. Or when you're sad, yo. You can see the animals are a little bit slow today, I'm sorry. So yeah, so that's a great way. I wonder if Kirsten's not saying anything because they're still laughing in final control. I hope it, or maybe they're shaking their head. Maybe they're going, yo. That's the third way. So you can do yours 3 different ways, and you'll hear every South African say it. And does it? And surprised? Yo! I have 4 of them. So it actually doesn't. It doesn't matter from where you are in South Africa. I promise you right now, you only need to have a 5-minute conversation with one of us and we will slip the word you're in. No problem. We all do it a lot. Actually, Darby, in camp? All the time. So yes, so I think... Oh, goodness, I got the giggles. That was quite funny, though. But I can just hear Conrad as also going, yo, saying it in his voice. Oh, it's so nice having the Sass Queen on board today. Of course, that's Kirsty, the one and only. She says that all of you are laughing at me, not with me. So thank you. That's fine. As long as you're giggling, that's all right. I hope you're also maybe shaking your head and doing that, yo. But we didn't actually really have much time to talk about the Wahlberg's eagle. I think we got distracted by a butterfly. Hey, David, we did totally get distracted by a butterfly. So I don't know for how much longer we're going to be seeing these birds. I mean, typically they leave in about April, so that's coming through soon. Well, going back to your story, thanks, Nancy Drew. You're wondering if it's kind of like shame. Yeah, shame Shame is another one in South Africa that you can use for so many different things. So what can you do? Also, you know, somebody's just passed away. You can go, shame. I'm really sorry about that. That's terrible news. Or what else can we use shame for, Darby? Trying to think. We use shame a lot. Oh, yes. Shame piece is actually what it is. If something is cute, Kirsty is saying on the radio, so like we could say it at Wahlberg's Eagle. Shame piece. It's so cute. Yeah, right. So you could also do that. South Africans are really interesting. I reckon we are the most unique nationality in the world. Just for the different words that we use, they don't really make sense, but you know we understand what we mean. Anybody else that comes from across the world is very much confused. So I do recommend trying to find a book before you come to South Africa on the local lingo, so you can understand. Otherwise, you're going to be, you know, a bit confused, and, well, we don't want that. We want you to feel comfortable. So this bird, I think, is just keeping out of the wind at the moment. It's not a very good day to be flying around. And I'm not sure that battalier that Steve had, if it was flying or not, or if it also had perched itself. I can't imagine we're going to see too many of them moving around. Also, it's quite cool. So perhaps squirrels, perhaps the rodents and things, they're not going to be out and foraging just yet. I wouldn't imagine any little creatures want to be out in this very windy weather. It'll be a bit daunting for them, as well, anything could swoop from above them or, you know, snatch them in the grass. So they need to be careful. But it is still on high alert. It is still looking around. But very nice. And I hope that they do stick around for quite long. Sometimes we get a few birds that aren't quite ready to go back home. Not that these guys have to go too far. They are only intra-African migrants, so no crossing of big oceans for them. Right, but that was quite cool. We're going to go up and down the airstrip and see if anything has crossed it other than an aeroplane. Steve, however, has got an animal that would be able to feed off of the marauder that this Wahlberg eagle is sitting in.
Thank you very much. We have found him again. Another opportunity to show off his beautiful self. This very tall male giraffe that we spent some time with this morning and yesterday. And I marvel at the fact that he's busy feeding on a Tambour tree. I really do marvel at that ability. And I've no doubt that there must be some coprophagy that goes down when they are younger. Coprophagy is when an individual eats the feces of another to get the gut enzymes and microorganisms that help to break down certain plant parts and materials. Because to you and I, that Tambour would kill us. And he is just putting it in his mouth and munching it and swallowing. So I find it quite interesting that the giraffe is able to do that. He is a beautiful boy, isn't he? We're just listening in the background to, there was some Franklin alarm calling a moment ago. Just trying to hear if they make another noise. We have a vehicle coming up from behind, so we're going to move out of the way because we are blocking the road. Smile for the camera one more time, boy. And we're going to just move out the way of a landowner that's coming through. Isn't he beautiful? Smile for the camera. He is a beautiful boy, and he has been the star, I think yesterday morning, this morning, and this afternoon. There we go, Ravi. We do find animals from time to time. I don't know if any of you saw how he contrasted or blended in with the russet bush willow pods that were just behind his back. Quite marvelous. Hello, Mina. How often do we communicate with other guides? Well, you see I've got this earpiece in my ear here. I not only have Kirsten, the director, or whoever else is directing, talking to me quite regularly, I also have radio. It's quite difficult to talk. So, that's not going on. and that is how we maximize the area that we go on. But it seems as if the Wild Earth team... Okay, we're going to lose some signal now. Apologies for the gremlins. I'll continue my story afterwards, but let's go over to Taylor down at Chitwa.
Sorry, everybody. Right, but you are back with me. Don't worry, we won't hold you for too long. And so we just went down the airstrip. We were flapping our arms. We didn't take off. We tried really hard, though, Darby and I. But anyways, we didn't see any leopard tracks. Now I'm checking here because this is a favorite spot of Hosanna and even Thamba. He used to love it down here. And I suppose we've always got Tingana. But the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that I can't get to Tingana's favorite spot, which is behind the dam wall. We may have to try and pull a sneaky maneuver and see if we can't lurk around there. Maybe we'll get lucky. Or actually, I'm just trying to figure out what room those guests are in. We might be able to go down the little slip road and head to the sort of most eastern corner of the dam. I'm gonna have to. I think I might have to. If I can't radio Sheldon and Dylan, I might have to give them a call and see if we can do it that way. Oh, David, you know what I have just seen? What's caught my eye? It's the sun. Well, a little bit of it. How's that? It's not amazing, but I think it's quite beautiful. It's better than watching the back of my ponytail blow in the wind. You can see it's trying its absolute best to try and get through the clouds, but it's not quite winning. So that's what we've got to deal with. So let's hope that the wind continues to blow and hopefully blows some of those clouds away so we can see a bit of a sunset, because at this rate, not looking too pretty, I'm afraid. Not too pretty. Actually, David, this is where the gymnogene nest is. I couldn't remember which road it was, but I do remember it was in a Balanites tree. Is that okay if I do that? Oh, there we go. So everyone, we do have the rain roof, of course, on. Now, just before I left for Kenya, do you remember that we saw a pair of African Harrier hawks, the gymnogenes? We saw one yesterday in the afternoon on safari too. And they were building away at this nest. And I never got to see the ending of it. So maybe you'll have to help me. Did they lay any eggs? Well, not that you can see inside it. Did Tristan ever come back? Because he was quite excited about this. Did anything happen here? I mean, at the moment, it kind of looks a bit dismal. It doesn't look like it's an active nest at the moment. But that was also around August last year. So kind of the wrong time now. Anyway, it's a good one to keep an eye out for, because they should theoretically also use the same nest every now and then. Unless another pair has come through and kicked them out. That was quite nice. Now I remember where it was. Nice just stumbling across these things. Off we go. Let's see. Okay. Might try and give Dylan and Sheldon a call now to find out which room the guests are in and see if we can do a bit of sneaking to get to the dam. Scotty D is also still just bumbling about on Djuma, waiting for something to cross his path.
Yes, and it appears like it's a tree that's crossed our path. Fascinating. It is quite interesting, though. The elephants have been absolutely murdering these trees, which are called silver cluster leaves. And I'm not entirely sure why, because they hardly feed on them. But there must be some reason. There must be something they're feeding on. There's quite a few seed pods at the moment. I'll just stop the car and Seb can zoom in on one of the seed pods. There we go. But I'm not convinced it's that they're feeding on. They're the kind of orangey purple thingy that kind of looks like a leaf, but it's a seed. But literally, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, the amount of these trees that I've seen being massacred is quite horrifying. And I don't remember it happening in the past at this time of the year. If it was like kind of a yearly little snack or feast on these trees, they're not, you know, maybe it's just my memory. But interesting stuff. This is the She's probably the 10th decent sized tree that I've seen pushed over by Ellie's. Scarlett, you would like to know what is going to happen with the coloration of the grass and I guess also the leaves of most of the trees. It's going to die. Going into our winter. Winter is our dry season here. The majority of South Africa is a rainy summer and a dry winter, all except for the kind of southern tip around the Cape, where they've got more of a Mediterranean climate, which is the opposite. So yes, it is going to become lots of browns and yellows and oranges. A lot of the trees will actually, the leaves will actually fall off the trees. It'll become a lot more open, far easier for tracking. It's definitely my favorite time of the year in the Lowveld. Aesthetically, as well as in terms of just being able to function more effectively during the daylight hours, and in conjunction with the animals, who tend to be more active during the cooler winter days than they do during the hot summer days. So yeah, I much prefer the Lowveld winter. You can be out on game drive for the entire day comfortably. Sure, the mornings are quite fresh and so are the evenings, but summer you're so limited by the temperatures, both us and the animals, that it would almost make sense to be out after dark and not during the day, in my opinion. Although you do get a kind of exceptions to the rule. Today is a cool afternoon, so there's a chance that whatever predators are about could be moving about. Magic. Well, it sounds like Steve has hopped out of the vehicle and is exploring a termite mound.
Thank you, Scotty. Yes, we have found a termite mound, but that is not the reason for stopping. This is by far the most impressive Tambour tree I have ever seen in my entire life. It is possible that there's more than one growing here because there's a lot of fluted stems coming out of the base of this termite mound. And what we know about Tambour is that it likes to be near water. We're not far from the drainage depression here, but also this large fungus-growing termite has got access to the water table, and so hence a tree like this would grow very, very well. Probably the best, definitely the best example that I've ever seen. African sandalwood. The wood is phenomenal for making furniture, tables, and a prize wood for making rifle stocks. So earlier I was talking about taking a sample of a plant, and remember I spoke about latex. I'm going to just cut this branch here. I'm going to bring it over to you carefully. Remember I was talking just briefly now about that giraffe feeding on the Tambour. And here I'm going to show you why we can't do it. I'm not going to burn myself. I'm going to burn Senzo because he likes to get burnt. I'm only joking. I wouldn't burn you, Senz. Okay, so we're going to go onto the dashboard over here, and where I have plucked the branch, and you can see that there's a milky latex at the base there. Is that clear? Might not be that clear, but if I pluck one of the leaves and then I show you the leaf there, look at that milky latex there. Now, that is an indication that a plant is not advised to be put anywhere near your skin, your eyes, or your mouth. And hence the giraffe was feeding on it. So how it's able to digest and consume these leaves is beyond me. But if you happen to have a very bad tooth and very, very sore tooth, and you had no way of getting to the dentist, just that little drop of that Tambour sap on your tooth would deaden that nerve, and you'd probably enjoy the rest of your weekend in the bush without having to go to an emergency dentist. So quite helpful, but a drop of that in your eye will blind you. Will blind you. So how is it that the giraffe has managed to do this? I am not sure, but it must have to do with long time of sort of evolution adaptation, just like how some people can eat very spicy food and I cannot. Okay, so that is the Tambour and a magnificent specimen at that. Thanks, Senz. So we've made our way back into sort of the eastern side. Maybe I can just show you again briefly on the map so that we all get accustomed. Yes, okay, so we came down from Treehouse Dam, we went along this road, we went down Weaver's Nest, along the firebreak, hoping to see if that male leopard crossed back in again, came past Twin Dams, Nothing what to speak of any tracks. And then we're now along Mamba. There's actually a new road over here along the drainage line or the river depression. Just see that faint line over there? That is the Milwaukee, or a section of it. Okay, so we are heading in easterly direction. And so to continue on with the discussion about the game drive. So the game drive radio is useful in the fact that we were told, or Taylor was told, that that male leopard was on his way into our property. And I was obviously live with you and I wasn't hearing it because I struggle to hear the game drive radio in full swing and Kirst talking to me at the same time while talking to you. So I often turn the game drive radio down when I'm live, purely because it's a little bit too much to deal with in the head. So I missed whatever update she sent, and then Scott communicated that with me, and then I communicated it back with Scott, and then short and sweet, we ended up going into the area and the leopard had crossed back again. So we have two different radio channels. One is for our section in the west and the other one is for the section in the east. So Taylor's on a different radio station at the moment, and so we don't hear the comms happening that side. So often they will get on our radio or tell someone like Taylor, or WhatsApp is a reality these days. Oh no, we have the same dilemma as Scott. We have also got a, looks like a terminalia blocking our path. This will be fun. Senzo is feeling strong. Are you feeling strong? Are you feeling stronger than Seb did this morning? Because he didn't even get out the car. I think we can try pull it. Yeah. Kirsty, are you going to link away or you want to watch us pull this? I think it might be entertaining, but I think it's also going to be quite heavy. Senzo, are you going to come? I'm going to need an extra set of hands here because this looks heavy. This looks very heavy, and yet an elephant just smashed it effortlessly. Oh, Senzo, this is going to be very heavy. Okay, come on, 4. And 4 is the Zulu for brother. So 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Almost there. One more push. Yeah, Senzo is making some amazing sound effects. A+ from Kirst. One more sense, one more, and we're off the road. Ah, well done. Well done, well done. Okay. That was a good teamwork. Seb, next time. Well, it sounded like Senzo did more than me because I think he would be a good tennis player with the noises he was making there. But an elephant just smashed that with absolutely no effort. No effort at all. And you saw that was not very easy. We were a little bit out of breath. But good to get off and stretch our legs and get the oxygen flowing again. Okay, so after our exertion, let's go over to Taylor and see what she's up to.
Well, we've just come across some really, really bizarre tracks. If you look a little bit further, I had to reverse quite far away because of the tire. But basically, I'm going to point them out with my finger. So I just want to show you from a distance. It's those tracks. David, what do you think about if I go a bit closer and then turn the car sideways? Do you think that'll be better? Let's have a look. I don't know what... I have an idea. I have an idea of what they could be, but we're going to play a tracking game now, and you've got to all guess what we're looking at. Should I do this side? Is that too close? Is that good? There we go. So they come across the road and they look like they're going in the direction of the dam. So maybe that's going to help you out. Hashtag Safari Live if you think you know what has left this track in the road. It's an interesting one. Kirsten has said a platypus. Maybe. Maybe there's a platypus. A hyena! Sorry, we got so distracted on the tracking we didn't even see. And it's smelling us. I bet it's probably been watching us going, what on earth are these people doing? Have they even seen me? Off it goes. Well, I hope you took some screenshots. Let's have one more look at the track and then we're going to go follow the hyena because it's the most exciting thing we've seen all afternoon. Have one more look at those tracks. Carla, you've guessed, is it a big snake? Maybe. Unfortunately not, but good guessing. There we go. Share those screenshots. Try and figure out what they are. Can always come back to them. I'm going to drive over them now, however. Joy, you've said, is it Ronald? That was a good guess. Sadly, it's not Ronald. Ronald is a rover. He looks like he was built for the moon. Basically like a remote control moon vehicle that goes on the ground. Ooh, we're getting closer. Peter Panda, you've said a crocodile. Almost, but not quite. Let's get a few more guesses in. A steenbok. Oh, the hyena is now chasing after the steenbok, is it? I saw the hyena's head pop up here. At least you've said a tractor. Good guess. No, unfortunately not a tractor. Hello, hyena. You look like you've been sitting in the mud. I bet you're all very excited because we do love hyenas. Sinak, another good guess from all of you. Loving all the water animals. You said a water monitor. I think it might be a little bit large for a water monitor. We'll get back to that, though. We can see this hyena's definitely been sitting in the mud. Just its bottom, though, in the mud, and the rest of its body, it seemed to have kept nice and dry, not so dirty. And swallow it again. Where are you going, hyena? Maybe it's also going to go and check the tracks out and have a good guess. Elemental, you said you think that it may have been a tortoise. That'd be the world's largest tortoise. If we had Galapagos tortoises, possibly. No, hyena, because if you go running, I'm most certainly not going to be able to keep up with you. Try and keep up with this hyena and see where it heads to. I think it is going to the tracks. Hold on. Okay, sorry, can I have Jason's answer again? It can't be a hippo. Maybe, it could be. A hippo with a sore leg, perhaps, if it was dragging it. Where's this hyena? Sorry, I'm focusing on the road. I was just off-roading for a minute. It's coming around here. Consumer, also, great guess. You said, did an elephant make that track? No. Loving all the guesses, though. But this hyena's walking straight towards us now, which is fantastic. It seems to be smelling the air quite a bit. Looking for something. Maybe it's looking for a leopard to follow. Or perhaps a kill to scavenge. Maybe it's also just searching for another hyena. Now, you all are guessing water monitors and rock monitors. Good guesses, but unfortunately that's not it. Here the hyena goes again, running right past the car. Where are you going? Don't go to the dam, please, because we can't go down there. Crossing the road where that animal left the tracks, not stopping to take a look or to have a guess. Very unhappy blacksmith lapwing. And here we go. Andy has guessed correctly. Andy says a honey badger riding a dwarf mongoose. Well done, Andy. I love all the guesses, and we'll get to the answer in a minute, I promise, because you're all getting very close. I just want to spend a little bit more time with this hyena, seeing as though we have an animal, and this is a live safari show. So it's actually going down towards Chitwa now. You'll be able to see the thatched rooms. Where are you going? It's actually going in the direction that we've just come from, down back into the drainage line, but we don't really have any fantastic signal down there. So there's one of the rooms at Chitwa. Beautiful camp, might I add. Off it goes. Maybe it's going to the kitchen. Maybe it's going to try and scavenge for scraps, because that is a hyena's favorite thing to do. But unfortunately heading to a spot now where we can't go. So why don't we go back to those tracks? And then we'll show you. We'll get out and demonstrate. Cool. Okay, well, we're going to just try and find them again on the stretch of road. It seems as though Steve is finding all the battaliers and Sabi in the Sabi sands.
Thanks, Taylor. I hope you find what you're looking for there. We continued on along this road after our exertion and after we've caught our breath, and we have once again found another battalier, and it is again a male. You can see it's lacking the miniskirt on the lower wings there. and he's on a nest. How amazing is that? So I've never actually ever encountered a battalier nest before. I mean, I know about their breeding, but I've never ever found a nest. So this is quite nice to see. It's visible from the road, only about 40 yards or so off in a large knobthorn acacia tree, which is one of their preferences. They also will use jackalberries as well as sycamore figs. Any large tree that's got a fair amount of leaf material, and they'll do a nice platform nest. It's primarily built by the male, which is quite interesting. It takes about 6 weeks to do, and the breeding time is sort of between January and June, but the peaking is about now, March and April. So that nest looks pretty complete. It's just waiting for his wife to come along and lay some eggs, I think. So once the stick construction is formed, he'll line it with lots of leafy green material for comfort. A nice little nest, as you would call it, nice bedding in the nest. And usually when they lay eggs, it'll only be about one. It's quite common in eagles to lay two as a sort of a security. And you get those behaviors known as siblicide or canism, when the one individual eats the other or kills the other. Battaliers, it's most common that they only have one, but they will lay a second egg soon after an unsuccessful clutch. And that takes about 55 days or so to incubate. Marvelous. Be good. We're going to document this, spend some time in the area, and see if we can watch more of this this beautiful behavior. So they have got a very beautiful face. You notice how the wings tuck down there, right down at the bottom, and the tail is almost invisible. Also previously known as the short-tailed eagle. The individuals take 7 years to reach breeding plumage. Okay, so we're going to go over to Scott and see what he has for you. See you soon.
Hello everyone. So we've come across an interesting scene here, and it appears that these drop-tail ants are moving houses. There's a frenzy of activity here, and they appear to be moving from the base of this little tree, which is called a black monkey orange, and I can see their hole right at the base, and they're carrying small larvae actually in their mouth that are of their own species, they're their own kind. I've plonked my phone down there to do a bit of a time lapse of all the movement to try and show you how ferociously these guys are moving. And then, interestingly, they're moving across the road, and I can show you where they're moving to. It's probably a total of about 8 meters, but I mean, for an animal this small, it's quite a distance. And what's further interesting is that they've moved to the base of this very same type of tree, another black monkey orange over here. And quite a few of them are carrying the little larvae in their mouth, but some of them aren't. And I'm guessing the ones that aren't are there for protection. I've had quite a few of them biting onto me when I got too close. So clearly they're defending the ones that are doing the heavy lifting. And it's really interesting. You can actually, I mean, it's going to be difficult to see. Sadly, we can't bring the big camera down. But some of the larvae are actually more developed than the others. You'll notice that some have started going kind of more brownish coloration. And there are some that are a paler kind of white color. Here's 2 good examples here, Seb. Next to one another. The bar. I'm just trying to tread lightly here. Oh, and my phone fell over. Well, let's just stop it. It might be a bit short. Even the ants were attacking the phone. So let's see how it came out. It's probably, like I say, gonna only been running for not long enough, so it'll be very, very short, the time lapse, but It'll be quite interesting to see all the motion and action. Here goes. Eee! How cool is that? Incredible. So, lots and lots and lots of hustling, and I'm guessing that this was only about 6 minutes, 7 minutes of the time lapse running. It actually, maybe it was for slightly longer. The end. Pretty crazy when you speed things up to give you a good idea of what's going on. Cool. So, Sinak, you'd like to know what animals eat ants in the bush. Quite a lot of the ants are distasteful, but a lot of the reptiles will eat them, lizards, frogs, the birds, some of the birds will feed on them. Pangolin will feed on ants from time to time. So, yeah, what else is going to be feeding on ants? Other ants often are their own worst enemy. They'll often raid other species of ants and steal the larvae from other types of ant species. Who else am I forgetting here? That's about all I've got for you, Sinak. Clearly nothing's interested in feeding on those guys. They're too ferocious. Very good. Now I'm told Taylor is testing your guys' skills, and we're going to send you on back to continue with the track quiz.
Yeah, we thought we'd keep this going, seeing as though no one was able to get the right answer. Are you ready for the big reveal? I'm going to get out, if I can fit, and now show you what we have. Let me just put my cable away. It's the only thing with these earpieces and things and wires. Well, they're everywhere. So, the tracks come from here. And the reason why I said it like they were going in the direction of the dam is it might be difficult to see. Almost need to be higher up and down here with me. Bushwalk would have been great for this. Is you can see how flat the ground is over here. So the ground is particularly flat here, and it almost looks like there's a toe that's just moving, sort of shuffling. Also, I can't describe the pattern to you. It almost looks like a crocodile pattern of their skin over here, and then it continues all the way and slides up the bank. So you would think a crocodile, but it isn't. It was me. I actually left some tracks on the road there. Was it this morning, David? I discovered that if I did this with my shoes, this road's a little bit sandy. I just did the shuffle. Was you going? Dedication. I keep myself entertained, as you can see. And what we're going to do, though, is we're going to leave these here for the Chitwa guides or anybody else that can traverse here and see what they have to say. If they spot the bizarre tracks. I feel like I should have written my name in the sand somewhere else, a little bit further down, saying, #you got tricked. I wonder if they're going to think it's a drag mark or something like that. So sorry for all of you that were trying to guess. I was obviously just trying to keep myself entertained on Game Drive this afternoon. So there we go. There are the tracks. Oh, you know what I should have done was actually gone around them. Because normally what happens is that when you are tracking, say, a leopard or something, you can kind of see if somebody has seen the tracks before you, because if the tracks are all of a sudden here, you would do that. And you would look down. So now I know for next time when I try and trick people, I'll have to do it properly. That's rude, Kirsten says Monique was the closest because she guessed an elf. Thank you. Not you, Monique. I know you would never say such a thing, but Kirsten, on the other hand. Oh, did she say that? Oh, okay, never mind. Then Kirsty, you out. Okay, fine. I'll take that. Ah, goodness gracious. Is the safari almost finished yet? No, I'm just teasing. I'm only teasing. No, we're actually getting to the most exciting part now, where it's starting to get nice and cool. The sun, unfortunately, has disappeared behind the clouds. The clouds not thin out like we were hoping for. And let's see if anybody's going to get on the move. I'm still going to hang around in this area quite close to the dam, because we know Tingana likes to... Hang on. These are new. These are very new, David. Leopard tracks. Actually, we're going to have a very quick look. This is for reals. This is not a drill. Those are leopard tracks. Those were not here. Those are on top of my tire tracks. Let's see. Hold on, David. Those are very fresh. I'm just trying to follow them. Still going. Can you see him? Hang on. You see anything? David thought he saw something. No, that's an impala. Where did these footprints go now? Not the impala. Keep going. Are you talking about the footprints? Or the actual leopard? Do you think so? Oh my goodness. Are we playing Chase the Leopard? We have got a leopard. Amazing. On the termite mound. I'm glad I didn't get out of the car to check where those tracks are. That was perfect timing. So sometimes me being a little bit on the silly side actually pays off, because otherwise I probably would have carried on driving and then been in front of this leopard and never even known it was here. But who have we got? Who have we got? I'm going to have a little squiz with my binoculars as well. I saw some blue eyes there. Did you see those, Darby? No. Very difficult to tell right now whether it's a male or a female. But there was also an impala. A couple of impala in the area. But this leopard is not looking at the impala right now. I wonder who this is. I can't see a big notch in the left ear, which would indicate that it's Hosanna. How incredible was that? How was that? How on earth was that timing? David, you've guessed Thamba. I also thought so. That's why I mentioned the sort of slight blue tinge in the eyes. It doesn't look like a big male leopard. But because it's concealed, we can't rule out a female just yet. And we can't see the spot pattern either. That was so cool. He or she must have been hiding. I think it is Tambour. But it is just quite difficult to tell at this angle. It would be very nice if this leopard could look towards us. There we go. Come on, look to us. There we go. Yes, Tambour. That looks like Tambour to me. What is everybody saying, Kirst? Everybody agreeing? Especially now that it turned its head. Yeah, I think it is Tambour. Ooh, that's exciting. Just when I thought our afternoon was going to be a little bit on the quiet side, our luck has changed. Now I don't have to be silly anymore to keep you all entertained. I can actually be a proper safari guide. Thank you, Tambour. Everybody's very grateful. Every person watching is very grateful for you. They don't have to listen to me being silly anymore. Now, as you can see, he's got the wind in his favor. I can see the wind blowing, or the grass blowing towards his face. I do apologize, I have a tickle in my throat. And there is one impala ram that has separated himself from the herd, just over here, which is what I thought David was talking about initially. I don't think that this impala knows that Tambour is here, but look at the big open gap that he's got to try and cross. He's got about 40 meters of open area, not even any grass to hide behind. No matter how flat he made himself, he'll be exposed. So you have to think of a different game, perhaps going back down the termite mound and going off to the left, well, not to the right, sorry, to his right, and going all the way around, maybe coming up from behind. I mean, he's definitely focused. Sorry, I think I'm going to have a little sip of water. Something is just tickling my throat and it will not go away. No, still not better. He seems to be focused now, though. Impala has also sort of turned his back slightly. And Impala's not really paying any attention. Right, I think I need to do a big cough to try and get rid of this tickle. So while I try and clear my throat and Thamba rests his eyes, let's go back across to Scott.
Well done, Taylor. And how cool is that? I can't believe that his tracks were on top of hers. And what a good tracking quiz that was. Cool stuff. And also, not just nice that she's found a leopard, but really interesting that Tamba's moved all that way. Pleasant surprise. I mean, young males, of course, can wander around, and they do wander around quite a lot, but as far as we were aware, he'd been kind of camping out quite a lot in the northwestern section of Djuma, and he's headed in the opposite direction, southeast, way off Djuma, onto Chitwa. So